Welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Smith, and inside this video, very excited to be doing another playthrough for Unstoppable, designed by John D. Clare. This one coming from Renegade Game Studios. It's landing on Kickstarter for June 18th. If you're interested, the link to the campaign page is in the pinned comment, video description, and also showing up on screen in the top right-hand corner. So why are we doing a second play? Why am I attempting this a second time around? Well, if you haven't checked out the game overview and gameplay video already, stop watching this video right now. Go check that video out first and then come back here. I'm going to pause for a second while individuals stop the video and go over there, because what's coming up next is the reasoning behind this video, which might have already been a little bit spoiled in the title or in the thumbnail itself. But we are doing a revenge play. We're going to be going up against the Menace a second time, but in this play there'll be way less explanations. We'll be diving right into the gameplay. I'll just be talking about strategy as I go through, as you've already got accustomed to how things flow from that previous video. So without further ado, let's see if we can take down the Menace. Let's go over the win-loss conditions quickly before we get into gameplay. It says to defeat this boss, you need to read an ending outcome on a boss card. So one of the boss cards as we go through will eventually have a keyword ending if we get that far. If we reach one of those cards, we have defeated the boss. The two ways we can lose the game is if the danger marker ever goes all the way down the track to that final position, that results in a loss. Or if our character's health ever goes from 10 down to 0, that also is a loss. We can also, during a turn, accumulate armor, which can help to mitigate taking damage directly to our health. But it's worth mentioning, after every single turn, the armor resets back down to 0, so it's not something that you can keep turn over turn. Speaking of turns, let's dive into our very first one, starting with the upkeep phase. We gain our 3 action points, refresh any allies, resolve any upkeep effects. We don't have any allies or upkeep effects to deal with, so it'll simply be the 3 action points at this point in time. Heading up to the draft phase next is going to be the level 1 deck. We're drawing 3 cards and choosing 1. And based on the narrative boss card we currently have to resolve, we need to get to level 2. That is going to progress the boss deck, so that's our main objective right now. We're currently at level 1. So we have level 1 cards here to draft. We have the Hired Guns, Pact of Blood, and Peaceful Agreement. Which will I choose? I chose to go with Hired Guns. I think this is a good choice. It's only going to cost me 1 to play this. It's a junker card, so it aligns with my deck of my character very well. You'll see 2 different faction types that align with this character quite well. And then you have Bargain 4. This allows me, when I do a Bargain 4, to actually do 2 damage hits, which is quite nice. So I took the 2 cards I didn't draft. They go to the bottom of the level 1 deck. The top of the threat deck card is the one that was sleeved here, and the Hired Guns card goes inside. There's the threat card on the opposite side, which I'm not going to look at. You're not allowed to look at it. You just slide the card in you drafted and place it in your hand. Right at the gate from my hand, I'm going to play Vesper, the Junkyard Cat, for 1 action point, so we'll take 1 away. That'll get a Junker card in play for me. Now, I'm not going to exhaust this right away. I'm going to go ahead now and play the Hired Guns card. This one's going to be 1 action point, and I'm going to do a Bargain 4. So when I'm doing the Bargain 4, any of the other Junker cards that are here, including the one this is attached to, count for a 1-point discount off that 4. So 1 down from 4 is 3, another 1 down from 3 is 2. So it only costs me 2 now in order to get the ability to do 2 damage twice. So I'm going to spend 2 credits to pay for that, and we're going to be down to 1. That'll allow me to do those 2 damage 2 shots, and I'm going to choose, obviously I have to hit this one because it has the taunt, so we'll hit this one, and it is a 2. The other one is a 0 because the boss right now on the track is currently a 0, so nothing there. So 2 damage kills this one off. We get this, that's good. And then the other 2 damage, doesn't matter, let's pick another one here. We'll knock this one off. They are only 1 anyway. Last but not least, let's go ahead and use the last credit that I have here. I think what I'm going to do is do a Bargain 3 on this one. So I'm going to tap my Junkyard Cat here, Bargain 3. I get 1 point here, 2 point there, 3 point for the credit here. So that will do the Bargain 3, and that's 1 damage is all I need to take out this thief. So that thief is gone. This gives me a lot of cards going into the next hand, but I wiped out all 3 of the active threats. Going into the threat phase, no threats hitting my health, which is awesome news. So we head right into the cleanup phase. I discarded all my played tactics. I only had 1. My ally stays in play though. I lost my action point that was sitting here. Armor resets to 0, but I didn't have any armor anyway. Refilled the battlefield. You'll see here one of the cards that came in was a fast keyword that does not count towards the 3 active threats. So you have to keep pulling individuals in, and I've got 4 in there total now because I have 3 that don't have that fast keyword on them. So on your character's dashboard, it'll tell you when you are going to trigger level ups. There are two ways it happens. The first way is if your deck is empty, which is true right now, but there has to be no active threats, and there's a whole bunch of active threats right now, so the trigger doesn't happen. Second way is if your deck is empty, when a new threat must be added. So let's say hypothetically we had these 3 in, and I had one with the fast keyword and 2 that were not fast keywords, and I needed to draw a card right now. This would actually trigger a level up, but I did have a card in here, so I was able to put it in, satisfy the condition, and so right now, no level up happening. We now go to the Menace's dashboard. The danger marker will move by 1 in this case as we're playing on normal. The only thing it's going to skip is it's going to skip over the 2 green spaces when playing normal, the yellow spaces if playing hard, and the red spaces if playing expert. So if we were playing expert, we would have actually moved from here down to this space right here, but we simply just move by 1 when we're playing on normal. Now, just to connect the dots for individuals that may not understand the health system for the active threats health are always their attack value plus their defensive value. That is their total health. So an example here would be the thief has attack value of 1 right now. This right here, this icon says whatever the boss danger level's at, which is 0. So that would just be a 0. But eventually that will tick up to 1, and then this will become a 2 health thief. But right now it's just a 1 health thief. Now here's another active threat that's interesting. This one here is an attack value of 1 and a defensive value based on the boss danger level, which currently is 0, but eventually that will uptick to 1, meaning its health, again being attack plus defense is the health, will be 2 to take it down, but right now it's still just 1. That's going to do it for the very first turn. We move into our second turn. We get 3 action points back by default, and our allies are going to refresh. Right at the gates, I'm going to go ahead and use my spare credits. This will allow me to play this for absolutely no action points, but gains me a credit, so that's nice. And I'm going to probably target the Junker Cyclist because when defeated, it'll give me a credit, and that'll kind of boost things up. I only need 1 to kill this because the boss value for defense right now is 0, as I mentioned before. So maybe just a single strike attack will do. So we'll go ahead and spend 1 for a strike. That'll do the 1 damage we need on this thing. Taking it out, and we gain this in hand, and we also get that credit. So we'll go ahead and give ourselves a second credit. I think next going to go to the upgrade row. There's something I've been eyeing that I think is going to be pretty useful in the long term. Some extra damage here. This will only cost 2 credits to take and will give me a 2 damage bump on a card. So we'll go ahead and spend the 2 credits to add this to a card. I added that upgrade to the Ingenuity card here, which has a really cool ability that allows me to deal damage based on the number of upgrades on cards in your hand and in play. So that can really be beneficial because it's kind of a 1-2 punch. So I might as well go ahead and use it right now. We're going to go ahead and spend 1 to play Ingenuity. So that's going to allow me to do 1 damage. So I'll just choose one of the thieves to take out. We'll flip it over. We don't gain any bonuses, but it goes into my hand. Then we get the damage 2, which I'll hit another one of the thieves, take them out, another card in hand. We only have 1 thief left. Might as well take them all out. We'll go ahead and pay 1 more action point, the last one I have, for another strike, 1 damage, taking this one out. Now in this instance, I just wiped out the battlefield. There's no active threats, so technically based on the level up conditions, it says if your deck is empty, when there are no active threats, we're going to level up. So it's going to happen right now because we've cleared out all of the threats. We're going to have that level up occur. It's also worth mentioning I didn't have any intention of actually exhausting my ally to get any kind of bargain 3 damage going on because I had better ways to produce damage this turn. But in the future, when I get to level 2, tapping this will provide me with a credit, so that'll be a worthwhile thing to do. So following the level up instructions right on the character dashboard, the first one is to level from level 1 to level 2. So both of the action discs, no matter where they reside in the row, will move up by 1 space. They happen to be on top of each other right now, so they just simply move to level 2. Now we discard all tactics, but even more importantly, all allies. Now allies, when played, will stay turn over turn, and you can continue to exhaust them without paying any kind of action point cost. But once a level up occurs, the allies that are here all go to the discard pile with the tactics. Now we have to discard down to 3 cards, so I'll keep the Night Market card and 2 strikes, and I'll discard the other 2 strikes into the pile. We can optionally eliminate any 1 card. We can choose where we want to eliminate it from. I'm going to eliminate it from my discard pile. Next up, we resolve any boss-specific effects, and we do have one based on our boss card. It told us once we get to level 2, we have to make a choice. Now, out of the 2 locations I can choose from at level 2, I'm going to pick the exact same one that I chose in the prior play. We didn't get very far into it, and I want to push that further. Here's the narrative text, which you can read here as we travel to Mithras, and it says at the bottom, reveal card 22 and place it near the boss console. At the end of this turn, we're going to replace this card with card 01. So that end of turn replacement is going to happen very soon because we're almost at the end of our turn here anyway. And then this additional rules card is card or boss card 22. So it's the one that'll be sitting to the side of this one. If you watch my prior play, you'll be familiar with it. It basically just tells us the different ways we might be paying things to progress this boss deck. Just a quick shot to show you both cards. Now let's finish up leveling up. We're down to the final step, which is to reshuffle the cards in your discard pile and place them here threat side up. So we'll go ahead and just shuffle them up really good, mix them up decently, and we will place them right where that deck is. Again, when you're doing this shuffle, I recommend not looking at the cards at all and just shuffling blindly and then just stopping and placing them. So the threat phase evaporates itself because we don't have any active threats. The cleanup phase happens. We discard all played tactics, which we already did. We lost all unspent action points. We reset armor to 0. We need to refill the battlefield with active threats. We'll do this right now. All right, let's see what we get off the top of the deck. We got ourselves a thief to start things off, a second thief, and another thief. Things do get a little bit more interesting now because our danger level now goes up to 1, which means all those boss icons on those active threats have now just increased. Their health has gone from 1 to 2 for each of them. There's a symbol here that tells us we can recycle any number of upgrades from the upgrade row and place it on the bottom of the deck and then just replace them with new cards. Now looking across the upgrade row, I'm actually pretty happy with what I'm seeing here. We got a good spread of different things we can use for combat, for damage. We have credits potentially from the wanted one here. We also have the ability to get action points boosted up, and we have a variety of different cost upgrades. We have 2, we have 3, we have 3, 2 5s, and a 7. So it's fairly averaged out, not bad. I might actually leave it exactly the way it is. End of the turn, let's go ahead and change this card out for card 01. Moving on to the boss deck, we have Investigating Suspicious Cantina. It states when this card enters play, shuffle the Mithra's threats together and place them on top of the threat deck. So I found those cards, shuffled them up independently, and we're going to place them right on top. Going into our next turn with the Cantina, we can choose to intimidate the lackeys here, or we can buy information. Those are the two choices we have, so we have to use either damage or credits. We move on to the next turn. Upkeep phase will have us taking 3 action points. We have no allies to refresh, no upkeep effects to trigger, so we head right into the draft. It'll be level 2 draft. These are the 3 draft cards we have. One of them is an ally, 2 of them are tactics. The ally costs 2. I can exhaust it, lose 2 health, then draw a card from the bottom of the deck. If you conspire, which means having another card of the same faction, then you get a bump on your armor by 2, which is pretty nice. Now over here, the hiring of a bodyguard, this would be 3 for action points. Very expensive, unfortunately. Tactic, it would give us 6 on the defensive side of the equation. So this would, armor-wise, would jump up a lot. So very good that way. You can search your deck or discard pile for ally card and add it to your hand. If it came from your deck, you put this card in the bottom of your deck. Pretty good, but it costs a lot of action points. And this one here, Advanced Optics, very cheap, only 1. It is a council card, and it does have the ability to give me some things that actually is quite nice right now, like some hits, single hits, although now that we have the boss track, or I should say the danger track, moving up a little bit further, these individual hits aren't as great, but having the upgrade to go to higher level draft cards could certainly be good. So I'm kind of eyeing this one just based on my current AP allocation. I'm going to go ahead and play my Advanced Optics to start things off. This will cost 1 AP, and this is going to also give me a single hit 2 times over, and it's going to give me a bump up on the level. So the level top token, the white one, is going to move up 1 position to level 3, which I can draft from in an upcoming turn. But right now, 2 single hits of damage will do enough to take out one of the thieves. So we'll go ahead and take this one out, give myself a strike card. Next, I'll go ahead and spend another AP, which I've already taken off, for another strike. This is going to be a single hit, and of course we need 2 to take these thieves down now, so we'll have to do it again one more time. Don't really have much going on with this one. This is not going to help me right now, so I'll keep the night market for later, but these 2 strikes will do enough damage to take this out. So this is now gone. I get this in hand, and I have no more AP remaining. Now, unfortunately for me, this enemy is going to hit me for 2, as that boss icon now equals 1. So 1 and 1 is 2. 2 damage with no armor to defend. Drop me down to 8. We head through the cleanup phase as per normal. We draw some more threats in here. We now have a total of 3. 2 of them have taunts, so we have to focus on either one of these. Both of them are pretty nasty. This one here has a when defeated. When we actually defeat it, allow us to bump up our level disc. And at this point, the danger level is going to go up by 1. Unfortunately, I don't have a credit to spend in order to eliminate a card, so I cannot take advantage of that effect right there. But everything still remains at 1 in terms of the boss icons. Going into the upkeep phase, we get 3 AP back, and we're going to go ahead and draft, and we get to draft from the level 3 deck thanks to the top level disc being on level 3. Once we draft, it will drop back down to level 2, which is what our character level is actually at. Here are my level 3 cards I have to choose from: Shield Detonation, National Target, and Overclock. Shield Detonation, not so leaning towards, but I do like the AP only being 1, but the ability is not exactly great because I don't have anything to really pump up my armor yet, so this doesn't really help me out. The National Target is really expensive at 2. It does allow me to eliminate a card, which is nice, so I can thin out my deck and get the better ones rolling through quicker. The Unite is interesting. You deal X, and X is the number of unique factions in hand and in play, so the more factions you have in play and in hand, the more individuals you can target with this, and then each of them take a damage. So that's very useful depending on how you have your hand of cards set up. So typically, maybe with this one like Night Market or something like that, which is off camera, you know, that in hand and this in hand, that would be two different factions. So two different targets taking a single hit each, not bad. But it does come at a cost that I don't know is worth it exactly unless you have a lot of different factions. So probably Overclock is my best bet. It doesn't cost me anything. It is a junker card, so it aligns with what my character does. Gives me credits, gives me a hit, and later, once I get 4+ upgrades, I can start dealing even more damage. So going into this main phase, I've got 3 damage at best coming from these 3 cards. I'll probably use them to take out this taunt threat. There's 2 taunt threats in here, but one of them actually has 3 damage to kill. The other one has 4 because I boosted this up with an upgrade, so it gave it an extra hit on the attack, which makes it 1, 2, 3, and 4 in terms of trying to take it down. Much, much tougher. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll do a strike for 1. That's going to put a damage on this individual. I'll do another strike, which is going to be another 1 coming off. That's another damage hitting it. Now this one here, if I play it, gives me a credit and a hit, but the bottom portion doesn't trigger because I don't have +4 upgrades on any cards in the discard pile and in play. I only have 1, I think, currently, and I don't even think it's on my cards in play. So it's right here on the spoiling. So it's not going to give me any advantage anyway. But I am going to get a credit, so I'll go ahead and give myself that. This is going to do the 3rd damage on this individual, so I do get to flip this one over. It now becomes mine as taken out, and it's going to be a spare credit, so I might as well go ahead and pay, or I should say use it, because it doesn't cost any AP, to gain another credit. Now I'm just 1 away from being able to buy information over here. So for now, I'm going to choose to hold on to the Night Market for later. We're going to stop right here. So 1, 2, and 3, 4 damage getting through, which is a pretty solid smack from 8 down to 4. I've done the cleanup phase. We got a new enemy out here as well. This one has 3 attack, 1 defense, so 4 health to take it down pretty nasty. Will allow me to eliminate a card if I want to when I take it out. Keeping the Night Market off to the side, we need to advance the danger by 1. The danger level continues to creep up. What's terrifying about this is not only the danger level moving as quickly as it does, but the fact my health has already taken so many hits. Not good. Now, something I might need to do, because I do not have a lot of credit generation happening at the moment, and there is one in here I could go after, but it does cost 7 to pick it up. I get a 2 cost discount if it's on a junker card, so it only cost me 5, but that's still pretty high. I might want to get rid of some of the higher cost cards from here and bring in some lower cost ones. I can see on the deck right now, the one on the very top is a 1 that does 2 damage, so it might be a nice one to bring in. So we probably should maybe cycle out a couple cards here. So I ended up cycling out about 3 cards, which worked out pretty good because I got 2 that only cost 1 and then brought in 1 that costs 6, which is quite expensive, but overall not bad. Next turn begins, upkeep phase, got my 3 AP on my character dashboard. Let's go ahead and draft from the level 2 deck. Here are the 3 level 2 cards I have to choose from. This one does 1 damage. If this is the first card you have played this turn, randomly select 2 cards from your hand, and they cost 1 action point less to play until the end of the turn. Very, very nice, actually. But at the moment, probably not what I need, but very, very tempting. Regional target, also tempting. 2 action points, does 2 damage, and you can eliminate a card. These are both good options so far. Local Bounty might be the best one because it only costs 1 action point. You get a guaranteed 2 damage, but you can also conspire to gain credits. And credits are something I'm trying to generate very much so. It's something that I'm kind of capped at doing right now. So what I want to do is probably go for this one, but conspire, I'll need to have another faction in order to make that work out. Now, originally, I was going to save up the 3 credits I need to progress the narrative, but I might need these credits in order to generate some more upgrades to get some of these threats out of the way, because if I leave these threats in here, they are going to wipe me out. So I'm forced into this. I'm going to go ahead and spend a single credit 1 time, both times actually, for 2 credits total in order to take both of those empowered upgrades, which actually works out pretty good because one's top and one's bottom. I'm going to place them on the local bounty. Now, it wasn't the original plan as I really wanted to push the narrative deck, but we need to clear some threats, and this one takes a lot. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 we have to get through in order to take it down. So I'm going to use this card, Local Bounty, right now. We're going to spend 1 action point. We're going to get 2 points of damage. Has to go against the individual with taunt, so right there. Next 2 points of damage, we'll take it out. So we'll place 2 more, and that's enough to wipe it out. When we wipe it out, we get to upgrade our level by 1, and we also get this card in hand. Now, I still have 2 more damage to assign from this card, so I'll place it on the Thief up here, knocking the Thief out. One thing to note, I might have misspoke. With the Conspire ability here, we don't need to have a different faction. We need to have 1 other card of the same faction, which I already have with the Night Market. It only has to be in hand or in play. So I can take advantage of this, gaining me 2 credits. Now here's where things get interesting. I have a card here, Ingenuity, dealing damage based on the number of upgrades currently in play, and I have 2 right here or in hand. So if I go ahead right now with my credits and try to find something to upgrade, if I can afford it, and actually looking at the row right now, unfortunately everything is 3 or higher, so that's not good. The best I can get out of this card playing it is 2 damage. And then I have a 3rd damage here, but that's not enough to take it out as it currently has 4 health. So I'm going to choose to stop my turn right here, as there's nothing I can do damage-wise to prevent the damage from coming at me, but what I can do, knowing that we'll have to level up in the future, is hold on to the 3 cards I have, because I will be able to keep the 3 when the level up occurs, and make sure that I can do something maybe more productive going into the next turn, although my health will be very close to almost gone. So we're going to have to make some kind of major push at the very end there. We'll have to see how that pans out. So a scary decision, but we're going to go for it. We're going to take 3 damage right now going into the threat phase, bringing us down to 1. We are on the brink of death. Going into the cleanup phase, we're going to discard all our tactics cards, lose any unspent action points, which I've already taken away, refill the battlefield, and at this point, when we try to place in the 3rd threat, we don't have it, so a level up occurs. Here's a perfect example where the level up discs are not together. They're separate, but they're both going to move up by 1. Next, I discard all tactics and allies. They've already been dealt with, so no issues there. We can optionally eliminate any one card. It certainly hurts to lose, but I'm going to choose to eliminate this card from my discard pile. The reason being that this card has become terrifying due to the fact that I placed so many upgrades on it. The enemy on the other side, if it comes back through my deck, is going to be devastating. So I'm eliminating this card to not have to deal with it. And now that I've chosen to eliminate it, I've flipped it over so you can see that it is definitely bad indeed. And that's because I knew when I upgraded the card, it was going to provide 2 additional attack damage 2 times over for the upgrades. But look at all the rest of what's happening here. This is a pretty dangerous individual and a nice one to get rid of. At this point, we're just reshuffling the discard pile to create a brand new deck. We got to draw cards out till we have 3 active threats. Let's see what we get at the very top. Top one here is the Blitzer. This one has a fast keyword on it, unfortunately, which is going to bring in this one as well. The danger increases once again, but we're still at 1, so nothing to worry about currently. An absolutely crazy draft this time around. We have this individual, an ally. You can exhaust tactics with a printed cost of 2 or more. Cost 1 less to play until the end of this turn. Kind of cool. Cost 2 though. Expensive. This one's very expensive at 3, but it's very good. You get a 4 damage attack, a 3 damage attack. You can focus. Focus is a number of cards of this faction in hand and in play, and I literally have Ingenuity in hand right now. That would be a nice boost, because this would give me some credits and some shields for defense in terms of armor. So that could be the ticket in terms of the situation I got myself in right now. This other one's a little bit cheaper and does some good damage, but I think I need that 4 and 3 to really take out the biggest threats that are in front of me. All right, so we pretty much have to go all out here. With only 1 health left, I have to throw everything I can to keep myself alive here. So we're going to go ahead and use the giant card first. I do have the night market, but we're not going to use it just yet because it only gives me some credits using towards bargain effects. So for now, I'll go ahead and use this one I just got. This is going to provide me a lot, but it burns all of my AP for this turn that I currently have. So this is going to give me a 4 attack, a 3 attack. Can choose who I want to hit, but I have to hit the individual with taunt first. That one has 3 currently, so I'll use the 3 attack on that to take it out. I don't get any bonus off of it, but I do get the card in hand. It is a spare credit and it's free, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. Actually, I guess I should finish the rest of this turn. I do have 1 more attack at, what, 4? And I guess it only makes sense to take out the one with 4 actual health, so 3 and 1 is 4 taken out. I can eliminate a card when I take this one out, and I get this one in hand. Now it can come from my discard pile, which currently has no cards in it. It's off to the side here, nothing there yet in play or something in my hand. But I really don't want to do anything in terms of discarding. I would discard a strike if it happened to be my discard pile, but for right now, I will not take advantage of it. Okay, so that is that in terms of the damage here. Now we can go to the focus. Now focus is the number of cards of this faction in hand and in play. So of this faction, I currently have 2. So that's going to provide me 2 armor, which I badly need, and then 2 credits, which I also really need. There is definitely an upgrade that can help me in this situation. I've got an upgrade 3 cost here, but it costs 2 less if attached to a Virenian card. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 of my 4 credits in order to purchase this upgrade. And the replacement upgrade is the Medical Adrenaline. Now to the cards I have in hand, most of them cost action points except for the spare credits, which I don't really want to attach this upgrade to, and the night market. I'll attach it to the night market because it'll be attached to a faction, which will help me with the focus ability that is on this upgrade. So that's pretty good. It costs nothing. I'm going to play it right now. So this is going to go ahead and I'm going to gain 2 credits specifically on the night market. Can only be used for bargaining. But then going on through this, we get an action point back, which is the main reason I'm using this card, and we get to focus, and focus again, as it states here on its card, just to make sure I don't mess this up, is equal to the number of cards of the same faction, which we've seen before, and this can be in hand or in play. So I currently have hired guns and I have night market, so that is 2. So that means we're going to get a bump of our armor by 2. We're up to 4 now. Now I'm going to go ahead and play my spare credits card. This one costs nothing at all. This will give me a credit in here, which is good. Now what's going to happen is we've got a card here that says hired guns. Now this is a perfect card because it does do 2 damage twice over, which is enough to wipe out both of these enemies. So it's exactly the card I want to use for the 1 AP, but it's a bargain 4. So it's good news because I can use the 2 credits I have in the on the night market to pay for 2 of the 4 off this card. So that's great. And then I just need 2 more, but when it's a bargain 4, the actual faction that it's on plus any other factions I have reduce that value. So that means we've paid for it just with the 2 credits that I have here, so we can do the 2 damage to both of these enemies and take them out. So we'll do this officially. We'll play the card Hired Guns. We're going to pay the AP. We've already taken the 2 credits that we had for bargaining only off the night market to help pay for the bargain 4. The other 2 came from the 2 faction icons that match the card it's on. So that means 2 damage going against this one first will give me a credit for defeating it. So we're starting to get some more money. We're getting this card in hand. Hey, we got the Junkyard Cat. That's a good card to have early on here, so it's fantastic. The other 2 is going to go through and knock this individual out as well. That doesn't give us a bonus, but gives us another card in hand. Now that I was able to get some credit generation going, I've got 5 credits. I'm going to spend 3 of them. We're going to buy some information at the cantina. We bought some information at the cantina. The backroom air has an acrid, smoky taste. In the corner, an apathetic android shocks itself into bliss with a small device. When you offer to buy the next capacitor, the android tells you of a local front for stolen goods. Each player may eliminate a card. At the end of this turn, replace this card with card 03. I'm going to choose to eliminate a card because I don't have anything in my discard. I'm going to choose one from my hand. I'm going to take the strike card and toss it. Threat phase, we have no damage coming towards us, so we took everything out, which was quite shocking, actually. Going into the cleanup phase, we're going to take all the discarded tactics, put them in our discard pile. Our armor is going to reset to 0. We didn't have any extra AP. We are still holding on to the very brink of death right now, and we're going to go ahead and refill the area with threats. So we have a thief here, we have another thief, and we have a blitzer. This one is going to be a fast-moving vehicle, so that's going to bring in another individual, so we have another thief coming in. And up here with the danger, we're moving to the next marker, and that's not good because now those boss icons equal 2, making things tougher. So even those thieves now are going to be 3 to take them down each, which is going to be tough. Now we can pay a credit if we wish to eliminate a card if we want to right now. I'm going to choose to hold on to my credits, knowing full well the corrupt shopkeeper could use either 4 damage to rough them up, 4 credits to support their business, which is probably what I'm leaning towards, maybe because I have 2 credits already. And then down here it says, during the threat phase, each player must pay a credit or take 1 damage, which would not be good because I'm at 1 health left, for each credit they have. We go into the next turn, got my 3 action points ready to go, and the level 3 draft has some interesting choices. A veteran captain comes in here for 2. If you want to use it, the first time you use it, you play it for free. You don't even have to spend it, so it'd be free if I took it right now. And when I tap this, it says, until the end of this turn, all cards you play with a printed cost of 2 or more gain this effect. When played, deal 2 damage. That is massive, but the problem is the cards in my hand currently all are 1. In terms of cost. So I wouldn't get this benefit unless, of course, I got some higher cost cards coming through my hand as I took out active threats. So it's great. It's a great card. It just doesn't fit for what I need right now. So I'm looking more so at these ones that are free in terms of action point cost. 1 here will give me an additional action point. And then until the end of the turn, all other cards you play gain damage. Just by playing them, you get a damage. So that's pretty good. And this one over here is you tap this one to gain 2 credits, and you can cycle all the upgrades in the market to the bottom of the upgrade and deck and refill the market. So these both actually go towards what I'm trying to accomplish. 1, active threats. This one helps me with the narrative deck. In the end, I think the Hidden Cantina is going to come in real handy, and that's exactly the card. I'm going to start things off in the main phase. We'll play this one first, so it costs nothing. It's going to give me an action point, so we go up to 4 action points, and then until the end of the turn, every other card that gets played is going to get an extra combat damage, which we can throw out there, so that's awesome news. Now, we need to start thinning things out, so let's go ahead maybe and use this one first. It is going to cost us 1, and just by playing it, we get a damage. Then we have 2 other damage to assign, so that's a total of 3 damage to assign. We're going to assign it all to this fast blitzer right here to take it out, flipping it over, and it's going to go into our hand. We're also going to level up, meaning that not the actual character, but the top level disc is going to move to the level 4 deck. Our character's at level 3, but the draft level's now up to 4, so that's pretty good for the future. We're going to go ahead and bring Vesper the cat into the equation here, because now we get a nice benefit being that we're way up there on the level track. So we're going to pay 1 to bring Vesper in. Now, Vesper has the ability to tap to gain some credits, which is certainly something I want to do, maybe gain 1 credit there. Now, once we get to level 4, we can do a better bargain, but right now I could do a bargain 3, and I could actually do some damage, but I'll hold off on this for now, and we'll focus more on these other 2 cards I want to play, because I can tap this at any time that I want. But what I do get for playing that card right away is because of the Hidden Cantina, I can place a damage. So I'll place a damage on one of the thieves. Next up, I'm going to play Overclock here. That's going to give me a credit, and it's also going to put a damage just for being placed here on the card, and then 1 from the sign that's here, and that's going to be enough to take it out. So again, playing it, the Overclock card itself, because the Hidden Cantina is 1 damage, plus the one that's on it. The bottom portion doesn't matter because I don't have 4+ upgrades on cards in our discard pile and in play. If I take a look through, I've got 1 upgrade on in the discard pile, and then I've got 1 right here. So it's not going to work. But this card is gone, so I'm going to flip this over and take it into my hand. We need to get rid of these threats, and what's worrisome about this is that just 1 damage is all that needs to go through to take me out. So here we go. Let's see if we can pull this off. So we're going to go ahead and play Ingenuity. This one's going to be for 1, and it's going to do a damage just for being played, so we'll place that on. It's also going to deal damage. X is the number of upgrades on cards in your hand or in play, so I currently have 1, so it's just dealing 1 damage from that. But then it has a 2 damage hit, which I'm going to go ahead and assign to this one over here. And then with my last action point, I'm going to go ahead and play Strike. This is nuts that I am holding on this close. Playing this card is going to give me a damage, which will kill off this thief, and then the 1 from the card itself will kill off the other. Now this is absolutely nuts. Now on top of all this, I've got 3 credits right now. I just barely was able to pull that off with this card. I owe everything to this card because that would not have happened without that coming through the draft. So that was an incredible pull. Next up, I've got 3 credits right now. I can tap Vesper, and I'm not going to bother doing the bargain 3, I don't think, although technically it would be free. So actually I'd have 1 more point of damage. I could tap him right now, and if I needed 1 more point of damage, I would get it for free because I have 3 faction cards with the Junker, so it would cost me nothing to do 1 point of damage. So if I needed it, I could have had it. But the best thing about this is I can tap him to get a credit, and that is going to allow me to go ahead and spend 4 credits to support the business of the corrupt shopkeeper. So as I stumble up to the corrupt shopkeeper, I'm pretty much bleeding from everywhere, only holding on to 1 health. I throw him a bunch of coins to support his business. You flash a few credits and inquire discreetly where one might find some goods from Auntie. The proprietor opens a hidden drawer containing several parts you're certain are silver military secrets. Just as you complete the transaction, you hear the familiar alarm whistle of council peacekeepers. 1 player may gain an upgrade for free at the end of this turn. Replace this card with card 06. Now this is a really tough call because there's 1 card in here that looks fantastic. It costs 7. It would give me some money. It would also do 2 hits of 2. It has the ability to give the enemy rage, and then when they're defeated after I take them out, I would gain some credits that way too. So this is a really good card for generating credits, and I'm so tempted by this. The other one that could be huge for me is the card Fortified, and that's because I'm literally sitting at 1 health, and that is not a good place to be. So if I take this card, if you have 5 or less health, you get to gain 2 and do an upgrade. So this will allow me to kind of get myself back up to about the halfway point safely. And that's something that I probably need to focus on. Now, out of the two, I had to go with fortified, and that's simply because my health is far too low and I'm far too close to death. Just one slip of damage through when I don't have armor and I'm gone. So I need a card that can get me up there. So the question really becomes, at this point in time, I have one card left in this area knowing I'm going to be leveling up in the future. So I could potentially place this in one of these cards, but that would not get me what I need for this effect very soon, and I need it really soon. So I might have to be forced to place this on one of my strike cards, which is not exactly where I want to place it, but I need it. So after taking the upgrade, I've attached it to my strike card over here in hand. We're going to go ahead and move to the threat phase. There's no threats that are going to be hitting us right now because we cleaned out the entire battlefield, which is awesome. Heading into the cleanup phase, we do our typical cleanup. And as we get towards the end, we have to go ahead and refill the battlefield. We only have one card available here, so we're going to have to go ahead and do a level up. And overall, that's going to provide us a benefit because our drafting level has gone up by 1 and our character level gone up by 1 as well. Next, we discard all tactics cards and allies in play. So this one here, the Junkyard Cat, is going away. And we have to discard down to 3 cards, but I only have 2 in hand, so I'm good there. We can also choose to optionally remove any card from play. I am quite tempted to remove a specific card here. I just don't know which one I should toss yet. I'm going to choose to eliminate this card here. The spare credits give me 1 credit. On the opposite side, a pretty nasty threat. Happy to get this out of the game. The deck's been shuffled in place. We're now going to refill the battlefield up to 3 active threats. So the Howler coming in next. This one has Taunt. We'll place it to the front. Next up, a Blitzer. This one has Fast. I'm not going to count towards the 3 active threats. That's not good. So another card coming in on top of it. So a total of 4 threats in here. The danger marker is going to move another position. We are now in the corner of this track. I made it to the end of the turn, so I moved to the next narrative card. It called for card 6, which is this one here. Local Watch arrives. We have options here. One option is to do 7 damage to fight back, or we can pay 6 credits to grease their palms. It says down here, during the threat phase, each player must discard 1 card from their hand or take 1 damage. And that nasty effect can be avoided as long as during this turn, I can go ahead and pay 6 credits or do 7 damage. The card will flip over, very similar to what I did to mitigate it in the prior turn on the last card. Going into the next turn, right now, upkeep phase, we get our 3 action points reset. We have no allies, no upkeep effects right now to deal with. We head to the draft. Right now, the top level disc, the draft level disc, is on level 5, and our characters is at 4. It's pretty fun when you start getting to these level 5 cards and level 6 cards. We haven't seen level 6 yet, but 5 here, very powerful. This one, Master Your Will for 2 AP, gives us a 5 damage hit, 4 on our armor. This sounds like the exact card I need right now. And then you can place up to 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck, then draw that many cards. So it gives you flexibility. That's perfect because I have some strike cards in hand. One of them has an upgrade on them I want to use, but the other one I don't really care about so much, so I might cycle that through my deck. This seems to be the right card to go for, but this one is painful because I would love to have this as well. You can exhaust this as an ally and gain 4 credits, which is huge towards pushing that narrative that I want to do. Until the end of the turn, all bargain effects you resolve, and my character does have many of those. You get to deal a damage of 3 with each of them. That's very, very good, but the downside is I need something that can do damage right at the gates because I only have strike cards in hand, so I have to lean towards this one, and this will not help me. Going into this turn, I'm very worried because I have this Howler here I have to deal with, which is a 3 and a 2 defense, so 5 health to take it down. It has Taunt, so I have to take that out first. Well, if I take a look at the card I picked, which I think makes the most sense based on the 3 that I had in terms of trying to accomplish keeping myself alive and killing some stuff, we're going to go ahead with this one and play it. It's going to suck up 2 of my AP, unfortunately. That's kind of a big kick, but it's going to provide me with a 5 damage hit, which will wipe this thing completely out. No bonus, unfortunately, but the card comes in hand. It is unfortunately a very expensive card, and that is not good for the situation I'm in right now. And this is why out of the 3 cards I could draft, I could not see any better options here. Now we can go with the armor. We get that armor boost up to 4, and then we can place 2 cards from our hand on the bottom. This is what might save me, maybe, if I happen to get something that can be useful right away. And I know this one is going to be my ally. So let's see if this actually works out. I'm going to keep my health one. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to discard this one, putting it to the bottom of my deck and taking the top card. I'm hoping that what I've got here now that I'm at level 4 is going to be a good thing. So let's see how we do with this card. So we get this one right off the top, and I'll read it just so you understand. Place up to 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck, then draw that many cards. So I chose to do 1. Done. Now I have a choice here between 2 different things. I have 1 AP to spend. The downside here is if I put the Junkyard Cat in, it could do a bargain in order to get a damage, or I could get some credits, but none of this really helps with what I'm trying to accomplish right now is the unfortunate thing. So the other option here is to go one more, because maybe taking this one gives me another option. Based on what I have here, I know this won't work out because I'm looking at the strike card, and if I play this with my 1 AP, this will give me a 2 boost on my health, so I'll go from 1 to 3. So basically, I can take, if I take 7 damage, I'm gone. And taking a look at what I have left here, if I'm not able to take out any more active threats, which I wouldn't be because I'd be out of AP and out of good cards to use, I'd be taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is exactly enough to kill me. So if I keep this card, it's not going to help me. So I might as well go ahead and toss this one underneath as well, because I can do up to 2 cards from my hand. So let's go ahead and do this second one. Even though it had the health, it's not going to be enough based on what's left in the active threat. So I've got to hope something better is on the other side here that can help me. So here goes. This is kind of a shot in the dark. We got ourselves... nope, it's not going to do it either way. So this is another one that'll cost 1. You can deal damage based on the number of upgrades. They're in your hand or in play, but that is not going to work out for me. It does 2 damage. I think I will just play this one. Actually, that's not true. So let's see how this works. If I play this 1 and I use the AP from this one, I do have a 2, and this would be a 1 because there's 1 upgrade on this. So this would be 3. And I could pick whichever one I want. So out of the 3 here, if I take a look at these, this one is 3. I know on the other side of this is a strike. I know this one would probably be the better one to flip probably out of them. This would be, well, actually this is going to take 4. So I can't take that one out, but I could take this one out. So maybe we go for the Blitzer and take out this one with the 3 and see what we get. We got a 0, okay, so that's good. And actually this works out pretty good. So we had the Hidden Cantina. This is a great card because it doesn't cost anything. So we'll go ahead and play this. It's going to give me an action point back. Now I'm actually getting a little bit more hopeful all of a sudden. Until the end of the turn, all of the cards you play gain this effect, so we get to deal an additional damage. So now I need to really think about what I can do here. Well, it's probably plainly obvious. I just need to bring out my Junkyard Cat. So we're going to go ahead and use that Junkyard Cat for 1 AP to bring it out. Now I can do a bargain 3, and it has to be, again, it's -1 for each card of this faction in hand or in play. So I have 1, I have 2, and that's it. So it would cost me 1 credit to get that bargain 3 1 damage, but I don't have a credit at the moment, unfortunately. So not going to get advantage on the not going to get the advantage of the damage, but I do, because I'm level 2, generate a credit, and then at level 4 I could do a bargain 4 to do even more damage. But that is as good as it's going to get, because I don't have enough AP, even if I wanted to try to pull this one off, which is the one I'd love to do, but I just don't have what I need. Now, one thing that is worth mentioning is when I played this Junkyard Cat, because of the Hidden Cantina, it does get to deal a damage, but again, it's not going to be enough to do anything because this one needs 3 to be taken out. This one needs 5. So either way, I'm in trouble, but I might still survive, and that's really all that matters. Even though I didn't take the health boost, I might still get through this somehow. So let's see. When these guys attack me, this one's going to be hitting for 3. This one's going to be hitting for 3, so that's 6. 4 will get sucked up from the armor, and yep, I get knocked out either way. Now, technically, one other thing that could have happened there, because you can choose how the effects resolve, is when I tapped the ally, I could have taken the credit first and then done the bargain 3, and of course get the discount of 1 here, 1 here. I could pay this credit, and that would give me another damage to place on, but again, it wouldn't be enough to get up to 3 total damage overall to take it out anyway, so I didn't bother going that far with it. But as you can see, there's no way I can continue onwards. This is going to be a death for me, because we go into the threat phase right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4 get sucked up from the armor, and 1 or 2 comes off from this, and that's gonna be it for my bounty hunter. And that, my friends, concludes the revenge play against the Menace in Unstoppable, designed by John D. Clare, coming from Renegade Game Studios and landing on Kickstarter for June 18th. If you're interested in this one and the videos that I put out intrigued you, check out the campaign link in the pinned comment video description, as well as up in the top right-hand corner throughout the video. This was a lot of fun to do. It was fun to kind of come back at this and push myself further in the narrative this time along, get a little bit closer to a victory, I think. I'm going to continue to play this one off camera. Actually, one time with a completely different path. There's actually multiple ending keywords with this one. So this deck, as you can see above the Menace dashboard, is quite thick. You're not going to go through the same path every single time. Depending on your decisions on each of the narrative cards as you go through, you'll go down different paths and have different win conditions. Now in that final turn, when I was at the draft stage and I was really humming and hawing over which card I wanted to pick up, there were some that were not going to help me in that moment, and there was one that I thought certainly would. And I can tell you this, Master Your Will is very powerful. This thing would have potentially been perfect if the cards that I had been able to draw from my deck would have been beneficial. The initial hit of 5 damage, huge. The ability to pump up my armor, huge. And also the ability to cycle cards from my hand into my deck and draw that many cards back up to 2 of course, which I utilized in order to try to find cards that might be able to push me forward. The 2 things I think I was lacking in, the biggest one in this play was probably not enough upgrades that had to do with action points to give myself a little bit more leeway when I started getting deeper into the game where I am right now, where I have more cards that cost more but are more powerful. So getting some more AP upgrades would have been really good, like this one right here, for example, that costs 3. Something else, a little bit more credit generation. I think I would have been right in that sweet spot of where I need to be. So it's a nice balance of trying to figure out how many credits, how much damage, and how much AP you need throughout the course of the progression of the game. But long story short, the Menace was able to take me out 2 times, and when the final version lands, maybe then you can give it an attempt and let me know whether you've actually pulled off a victory on normal, hard, or expert. This was normal difficulty, so you can tell by jumping up to hard difficulty where you start skipping the yellow spaces up there on the track, and then at the red difficulty, you are really moving up at the expert level as you're flipping through that track even quicker. Those ones would be even tougher to pull off a victory. Would love to hear in the future whether anybody has tackled this one and beat it at that hard and expert level, because it will certainly be a challenge. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.